Hello, fifth graders. Good to be back with you, even if it has to be through a video. Better than nothing, right? Hopefully you had a pleasant Easter. It was kind of a bummer around here. I do tend to get with my kids a lot still, but Jeremy and Julia are both sick with some kind of crud. And so they're trying to recover from that. So I couldn't have my grandkids over today to do an Easter egg hunt. So I did an Easter egg hunt with Ryden after we watched Ron preach this morning. And then we had sausage and pancakes and eggs for our Easter dinner at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That's what we ate. So it's been pretty laid back around here. Kind of hard to get motivated with everything. But I am going to sit down this afternoon. This is Sunday afternoon. And I'm going to try to get all the lessons done for you guys. So my goal is to get all my language lessons done right now and drink 32 ounces of water, which I have my 32 ounce cup here. And so far I've drank about 8, so I'm doing pretty well. Anyway, I have to drink more water. Do you guys drink your water? I don't drink enough. Anyway, on today's lesson we're going to do, according to my lesson plans, we are doing 137 and 138. So, let's go over 137 together. We're talking about fragments today. And fragments are fine if they're in a sentence, but we never want them to be the complete sentence. The definition of a fragment up here is a group of words that is not a complete sentence, but is written incorrectly with a period at the end. So for instance, when the game is over. Okay, it's a good thought, but it's just the beginning. It's not a whole sentence. When the game was over, when the game is over, I must go home. That would be a complete thought. A fragment would be leaping over the net. By the way, this would be like a verb kind of fragment. It's missing the subject, right? Whereas this one, this is almost like an introductory clause, and you need a whole sentence after it. So this is also an introductory clause. Leaping over the net, Ed broke his arm. There's the main part of the sentence. The closest friend that I ever had. Okay, good thought, but not a complete one. Billy is the closest friend I ever had. All right, let's look at Think A. Write S before each group of words below. That is a sentence, and write F, it's a fragment. All right, we'll do all these together. Whistling through the trees. Sentence or fragment? Fragment. And I know these have prepositional phrases in them, but we're just going to ignore those right now. Jesus wept. That is a complete sentence, even though it's super short. Your ice cream is dripping. Oh, that's definitely a complete sentence. Looked at the menu. Well, who looked at the menu? I don't know. It doesn't tell us. It's a fragment. Please sit by me. Oh, this is a full sentence. You don't see the subject because it's a imperative sentence. And therefore you have an understood you. When the sun rises. What happens when the sun rises? I don't know. It doesn't tell us. The farm on the left. What about the farm on the left? I don't know. It didn't tell us. The water is cold. Well, it's a short sentence, but it is a sentence. We have the water, and it is cold. Cold is a adjective describing the water. I had to think there for a second. Is it a predicate nominative or is it a predicate adjective? Okay, so we have 14 problems here. I'm going to do 1 through 7 with you. And then I'm going to let you do 8 through 14 on your own. In the sentence before the number, write fragment, F for fragment, RO for run-on. Remember, run-on sentence is a compound sentence that has not been connected properly. Either they just use a comma, or sometimes they just use nothing, okay? Or sometimes they might use the connecting word without the comma. You have to have both of them, or you have to use a semicolon if you want to have a compound sentence. When Abraham Lincoln, our 6th president, was born. First of all, I don't see prepositional phrases, and we will notice those in this section. But anyway, the when up here is telling us there should be more. When Abraham Lincoln, our 16th president, was born, blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't tell us, so it's a fragment. The old documents were carefully preserved under glass. That's a I'm under glass. Let's go ahead and mark the prepositional phrase just to keep in practice. The old documents were carefully preserved under glass. That sounds like a complete sentence to me. India, a country of different people and languages. Not finished, is it? Do we have of different people? That whole thing there is a prepositional phrase, by the way. I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill. Oh, lots of prepositional phrase. I cried unto the Lord with my voice, and he heard me out of his holy hill. Yeah, this would be, okay, so I cried unto the Lord with my voice. He heard me out of his holy hill. This is a compound sentence. Do you see how they use the comma and the and there? You don't have to mark it, but do you see that? That's telling us that this is a compound sentence. They have punctuated it carefully. Ryden's bringing in something. They've punctuated it properly. So it's a good sentence. It's not a run-on. Rejoice evermore. Nice, short, imperative sentence. Antarctica, a vast, uncharted land. Not telling us anything that Antarctica did or anything about it after that introduction. So that's a fragment. Mr. Matthews is our new teacher. He moved here from Vermont, right? So here, look here. Mr. Matthews is our new teacher. Complete thought, right? He moved here from Vermont. Another complete thought. They have connected that with just a comma. It needs a comma, and but for, or nor, or it needs a semicolon. So this is a run-on. All right, 8 through 14, do that on your own. Do just like I did, except I'll count the only thing you have to do is out here, this part, right? If you mark prepositional phrases, I'll give you extra credit. All right, let's go to the next page. All right. Whoops, there we go. Commas and dates, letters and addresses. All right, so we've been going through comma rules. I almost would like, if I can here easily, go back and review all our comma rules. Here we go. So you can just look here on comma rule number 1. Remember, if we had items in a series, like the wind was cold and damp and gusty, and we didn't use the ands. If you just did cold, wind, gusty, let's see, that's cold, damp, and gusty. So you put the commas there. They put the commas still in between them, even with that last and, which I've told you before. It's a little bit iffy in modern day grammar. Some people aren't using it because technically that comma is taking the place of the and here you have the and. But Abeka uses the comma and the and, so we'll stick with that. The second thing is when you have 2 or more adjectives in front of a noun and you could flip them and they still make sense, then use a comma. For instance, the frisky furry kitten. We could say the furry frisky kitten, and we'd put a comma between those. You never need one before the after the and or an or a. If you have the new apartment building, you can't flip new and apartment and have it make sense. The apartment, new building. So if it doesn't make sense, if it's awkward, they call it, don't use a comma. All right, let's go to the next page. Okay, so comma rule number 3 was for the compound sentences. We want to put the comma and the and in between them. Otherwise, it's called a run-on sentence, okay? All right, now, comma rule number 4. Here we are. This is where we are today. again. And I might start going a little faster in language just so we have less other work, and so we can do a little more language. All right, so the commas in the dates, letters, and address. So comma rule number 4 is use commas to separate items in dates and addresses. This is pretty simple. You're pretty used to this by now. Notice on Tuesday, March 28, 1940, in Hartford, Connecticut, twins were born to Sarah and Thomas Hall. So if you're talking about a complete date in a sentence, you see how they have the word Tuesday? There's the day. And then we have a comma in between the day. The month and the day of the month don't have a comma, but after the day of the month. And then even after the year, if it's in the middle of a sentence. So also in this sentence, they have a city and a state. It's in the middle of the sentence. That's why the state has a comma after it also. But normally, you just keep that comma between the city and the state. Please mail, I'm right here. Please mail the package to James Buchanan, comma. So after his name and before we start his address. Route 2, comma, that like takes the place of his street. Guilford City, comma, Maine. Now between the state and the zip code, no comma, okay? On Friday, January 20th, my grandparents are leaving for Paris, France. So Paris, France, city, state, or city, country in this instance, gets a comma between them. Okay, so we have the day, comma, the month and the day of the month, and then another comma. They don't have the year here. So here's the heading of a letter. Here's your box number, city with a comma, state, no comma between state and zip, and then December 1st, comma, and whatever the year is. Okay? At the end, and then also, this is a super easy one. You've seen this one forever. So comma rule 5 is use a comma after a salutation of a friendly letter. That's like, dear grandmother, that's friendly, and we use a comma. And even if the letter's not friendly, it's still called a friendly letter. But anyway, it's just a personal letter. It's not a business letter. And then there's yours truly with a comma after it. That would come at the end of the sentence right before you write your signature. All right, let's go through 5 of these, and I'll let you do the other 5 on your own. Before February 1st, 2007, I lived in Blountstown, Florida. Let's mark our prepositional phrase. All right, just for fun. All right, so February 1st, we don't put a comma between those two, but we do between the day and the year. And then because this is in the middle of the sentence, we will put it here. Okay? Please send my packages to Route 4, Middleton, South Carolina. To Route 4. Technically, Route 4. This whole thing may be part of the prepositional phrase, all those nouns. Yes, writing. Real quick, I'm taping.
Did you only get me 2 toys?
I just got you 2 toys. The Rockets and the Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Okay?
I thought there was more.
Nah, just 2. Oh, the bucket. The sand bucket.
The bucket.
Ryan's talking about his Easter. Okay, anyway, please send my packages to Route 4, comma, Middleton, comma, South Carolina. Okay? I've heard that Washington, D.C. is an impressive city. All right. No, I don't see any prepositional phrase. Washington, D.C. Does that one, because that's like a city, and D.C. is not a state, but it's called a, what do they call that? Oh, it'll come to me in a second. I believe it gets a comma right there. Let me just make sure I'm correct before I tell you to do that. Yes, it does. Okay, so it needs a comma right here. District of Columbia is what it stands for. It's not a state. It's a little area that several states donated for the capital. We need a comma after that also, because that would be like a state in the middle. London, England is the capital of Great Britain. of Great Britain would be a prepositional phrase, by the way. London, England. Okay. In Ottawa, Ontario, the largest city is Ottawa, Ontario, the largest city in Canada. I was going to say, that sounds like a fragment. Okay. Ottawa is a city in Ontario, which is in Canada. Oh, we need it right here too. All right. So 6 through 10 is yours. So all you have to do is put the commas where they belong. Prepositional phrases would be extra. All right? Any questions, you can text or call. Have a good day. Talk to you later.